Hello, this is Keenan Monson, aka Bolt Action, and this is the producer's commentary of Bluff Stuff Part 1 EP. So, this commentary will be about introducing how I made these tracks and inspirations I had behind it, and little fun facts about how I came to make this.
So now,
because it's really fun.
go on a journey to help revive electronic music.
So,
And
this is Prelude that is playing right now, and the story behind this, I guess, is
let's
that
begin.
I had already made the track Bluff Stuff before this. Bluff Stuff is the original track. And basically, I was on Xbox with my mates, and I showed them Bluff Stuff, and I thought it was going to be a one-off sort of thing. And it eventually turned into an EP, as he wanted me to make something that sounded like Stranger Things. And so, it was more of a challenge accepted sort of feeling, and I made this. And as you can hear, I think I hit right on the nail. But I also made this through GCSEs and also moving to Australia as well, so making this EP was a bit of a pain, carrying all the files and trying to find time to work in between exams and in between moving over here and packing and etc. and saying goodbye. So yeah, it was a big project, and it was a big time for me as well. This is more of a concoction of 80s synthwave, and it's a good start to the EP. So, we are on Go With The Flow, and this is about a main protagonist who is in an arcade, and it's, a kid. And he's playing some games, and he has just put on his cassette player to play his favourite song, Go With The Flow, which is very fourth wall breaking, I know. So, this was originally meant to be a hip hop track, but instead, I somehow made it into a new wave sort of track. And it also had other vocals and other lyrics I had, which were cut from the final version. And it had a full rap lyrics with verses and stuff, but I just cut that and decided just to go with little vocal snubs of just go with the flow, going with the flow, etc. I did the vocals for this track as well as other tracks in the EP, because I didn't have any time to hire an actual vocalist or buy actual vocal stabs or anything like that, and I knew exactly what I wanted, so I did it myself. And the fun thing about this track is, in this section, it's a sort of funky jungle vibe, and it was really experimental. But as I started layering the different pieces of the track together, it all aligned pretty well, and I liked the final product.
Just go.
So, this section of the song actually wasn't even here. I just left that where I was just with the flow.
Just go.
But I added this little bit on because I wanted a nice, smooth transition into Bluff Stuff.
Just go on with the flow.
And plus I wanted to make the song a bit longer than, I think 2 minutes I think it was, or something like that. So yeah, this was a fun track to make, and is by far my favourite in the EP. So, we have moved on to Bluff Stuff, and this was the first track I made in the entire EP, and is the central pivotal track, and is pretty much what gave birth to this whole EP. So, the story behind this one is I was looking online for free VSTs and, you know, stuff like that, because I didn't have money to afford stuff like Serum, etc. And so I was just going on a limb and looking, and basically I found some 80s stuff, and I was drunk, and I found some authentic drums because my friend gave me some, and I used a combination of them, and I made a demo for this track. And then I built on it the next morning, and I was like, whoa, this is actually pretty cool, I like this idea. And yeah, so it was a really fun fun time where this wouldn't even exist if I didn't have a couple of beers. Also, this breakdown wasn't originally here. I just had it where I just went back to the first section. And another good thing about this section is that I wanted to give a sort of NASA vibe. Like, I wanted to give it a sort of NASA space, sort of sci-fi feel. But I've had people come to me and say, is this about astronauts going to space, or is this a nod to the moon landing, or, you know, but I said no, this is actually about a kid that is in an arcade, and he's playing this game Bluff Stuff, and he keeps failing, and, you know, his character on the game keeps dying, and it's more of like a sci-fi arcade game, which is a pretty fun twist to what some people would think would be an actual space landing sort of nod. But no, it's actually an arcade, a sci-fi space arcade set back in the 1980s. The thing that I love about this EP, and was pretty much a final edit after I'd made every single track, was these transitions. And it's a nod to Pink Floyd, as they had it where the tracks seamlessly flow into each other. And now we move on to Phantoms, and the story behind this is that a phantom has just came out of the Blast Off arcade machine after the kid loses one too many times. And if you look up the meaning of phantoms, then you'll get a bit more of detail as to what I sort of had in mind for this creature, or I guess antagonist in the story. And this is basically a dark synthwave track, and I used authentic drums like I mentioned before, and I used methods that would be similar to what it would sound like in the 80s. So like on the EQ, I would try and make it not sound as best quality, because it wasn't, you know, high definition back in the 80s. It was, you know, it was fairly meh, I guess. So I turned down the high frequencies and some of the lower to give it a bit of a cool retro nostalgic vibes, and it sounded like this was actually made back in the 1980s. And as I said before, Blast Off is the pivotal track, and so you can obviously hear when listening to the whole EP together as a playlist that there's a switch between the happy funky sort of feeling with prelude and go with the flow, and then it turns into this dark and evil and sinister and funky and funky vibe. So it was a 6-month project on this EP. So I had made this from about March time to now, which is when of recording this is just at the end of August. It's the 31st. And so, not having learned Serum for a good while as well, because I only started learning, not Serum, sorry, my mistake, FL Studio. I only started learning FL Studio back in January. So yeah, and I just recently got Serum 2 months ago, and if you don't know what Serum is, it's a pretty high quality VST that the industry uses nowadays. And this was the most fun to make it. You know, I overlapped 2 octaves of the main synth and it sounded dark and evil. Gave it a lot of harmonics. And this was the best song to make in an evil vibe I possibly could, I think. And loads of people love this. People have said this is my favourite out of who I've shown this to, such as family and friends. And now we go to Supperers, and as you can hear by that transition, that's a sort of another nod to Pink Floyd. As in one of their transitions, they had a heartbeat, and I wanted to sort of show a little bit more of the character with that by adding that in. As well as that nod, in Phantoms previously, I also added a little Thriller nod, like Michael Jackson's Thriller, with the laugh at the end. So that was pretty funny. And the story about this is, you know, the kid's just had that phantom chasing him and he's hallucinating, and then he just collapses on the floor and he goes into a sort of Supperers weird coma, I guess, because if you Google the word Supperers, like I said, you'll get a bit more of a better understanding of what this track's about. Because the kid's soul, who, you know, the kid who was playing Bluff Stuff and all of that, his soul has just gone into the arcade machine and he is trapped. And if you listen closely to the lyrics, you can hear that I tried to represent that with the vocal, as the vocal sounds like a Daft Punk sort of thing, you know? It sounds really 8-bit. And I couldn't get a vocalist, so this is the most challenging song to make because it was a disco vibe, which I've never done before, ever, never attempted. In my experience so far, until now, obviously. And the vocals was a massive pain. It was a massive pain because I couldn't hire anyone, so I had to do it myself, and I had to re-record and fix and unfix and etc. And it was the biggest pain. So yeah, this song has gave me a load of headaches in the making, and I'm so glad that it's over with that track, and I've done the best I could. And another fun fact about this whole EP is actually the artwork, because I made the artwork for the EP as well, and I wanted to give it a sort of 80s arcade sort of floor tile, I guess, carpet floor sort of feel. You know, if you look at it and you think of that as being in an arcade and being a pattern that's, you know, inside the arcade, or like an astrocade, you know, that sort of feel. And it was really cool because I had my own little custom feel to it, with Bluff Stuff being linked to the image of a rocket coming out of the atmosphere, and the planet looking of alien,
So now, our journey
sort
comes
of
to
like an alien sort of planet, I guess.
So-
It had my logo on it, so you know, I made my own sort of planet, I guess.
to hopefully beat the game.
But yeah, I made a load of minor mistakes, but it was minor mistakes that were great and gave this EP character.
Forever.
And I wanted to also show like a cheesy 80s story as well, like a horror sort of 80s story, which is cool. Thank you for listening to the producer's commentary. Thank you for listening to the EP, and I hope you enjoyed part 1.